Yeah, I'm Craig Dorio. I'm founder and president of Dodles. We are a social animation platform that we make it easy for people to animate from their mobile devices.
What's up? I'm Evan Frym with Adventure Wisconsin. I hope you are having a fantastic day. We have kind of a one-off video. We wanted to start doing some kind of more in-depth video features of just different stuff, different stories going on in Wisconsin, starting with Northeast Wisconsin. So today we have Dodles, which is a crazy tech startup just outside of Appleton, Wisconsin, in the small village of Combined Locks. Dodles is an app, and it's an animation platform where people can build, sell, trade, and create animations simply from their phone. And that just makes it way easier, because right now it's a really difficult thing to do. So we sat down with Craig, the CEO and operator of Dodles, and he told us about his story, the relation of Dodles to autism, his experience being on the spectrum, as well as how he got his funding. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you like it, if it brings you any value, please like. We're trying to build the YouTube a little bit, so thank you and enjoy.
So how I got into tech from the start, I guess, was I was really drawn into math, really, and it seemed there were a lot of jobs in technology, so it really fit my skill set on the creative side, I think, and on the problem-solving side. So I was really big into really solving complex problems. It was the dot-com boom era, and so it was a really great time to be entering into tech. There were a lot of opportunities. There were a lot of big things happening, and all the new ideas, a lot of new ideas could get funded quickly, and you could start a business off it. So we were just trying a bunch of different things, myself and this other guy, Carlos. Being in college, we just wanted to experiment with new ideas. We started a number of different initiatives. We started a search engine for a Florida-based search engine that never went anywhere. It was kind of a takeoff of the Yahoo model back then. We started like a website consulting service where we would produce websites for companies, a software distribution company off eBay that used a lot of AI and automation. Through that, we transitioned from the Florida search engine to how about let's create a search engine for South America. And so this was our first real big win, was when we created the portal that was the largest in Spanish-speaking South America for a period of time. So we put out a search engine, we connected it to search results similar to Google. There was a company called Alta Vista. And we would put in weather feeds and chat and other kinds of features that people were looking to get off the internet in one location, and that really just took off right away. We went from our startup where we were just experimenting. Investors came in, and Sony and Comcast and some big name players, well over $100 million, $150 million came into the company. As we started to move towards IPO, there was a power play, and I kind of got pushed aside. And as they moved this towards Wall Street, but right around then was when all the fears over the dot-com bubble bursting started to surface. And so right when we were going to launch this thing into the IPO is right when that bubble burst, and they had to stall the IPO. Eventually they pulled the IPO completely. And that led into the start of the fall for UP, and eventually the company sold off to Microsoft. I was pretty traumatized from having gone from paper wealth to from a very massive number paper wealth. I didn't come from money, but as we started to get that success, you start to get your identity wrapped around all the success that's happening, and so to go from that to suddenly being looking for a basic programming job overnight was pretty traumatic for me, and I really couldn't easily re-enter the workforce from where I was coming, and I actually left tech altogether. I was so traumatized in that period, and I went into construction work and cleaning drains with a good technology degree and a good track record to go into these very menial jobs from where I was at. But in that, as I was doing really cleaning drains at a water filtration company called Freshwater Systems, and they started having all these problems with their main headquarters out in California. with their tech, their back end. And they asked me to look at their website, and they had put all this money into this website, and they were generating revenues of like less than $1,000 a month. So I said, well, let me see what I can do with it. And I spent a few months redesigning the website and creating a whole new optimization strategy for how to advertise for much cheaper than they were attempting to do, because they were putting far more into advertising than they were generating in revenue. And after a few months, they had gone 100-fold. They were making about $100,000 a month off the site. Last I checked, they were making over $10 million a year off the site. So they had spun that off into a separate company very quickly, and it was very successful. And so I kind of got that itch to re-enter technology again, and I started my next company, and I was already formulating the ideas for it while I was working for them, but I started to work on a mortgage engine. 2004, we started this mortgage company from scratch, and grew that to a successful exit at the end of 2013 for $15 million. A lot of drama, a lot of turmoil, corrupt partners that had come into play there. But we successfully exited at the end of 2013, and that's when we prayed about, well, what do I do with this money now? Because God had led me through that process of dealing with that corruption, and so I really wanted to put it back to Him of what do you want me to do next? Not just spend this money for my own personal benefit, but what does He want done with the money? And that led us to praying about it, and that led to the direction for Dodles, very clear direction that we got about this platform that we were to build. We've seen the growth over time of the richness of interactions and people wanting to reach their audiences in more meaningful ways online. And so that started with just these low-tech engagements of sending a basic text message, but it's now transitioned much deeper into video and animated GIFs and memes, animated videos, even interactive content. Statistically, animation is a much stronger form of engagement. The problem has been that there's a lot of very real barriers to entry for animation being practical for people to use for communication. The cost of producing a very short clip in animation is extremely high. It requires a lot of technical capabilities. It requires that you educate yourself on the software animation platforms, which has a huge learning curve. You have to take courses and you have to be very specialized to do that. The tools that are out there today really don't support that very well. They're very cumbersome tools. It's slow, it's expensive to produce animation. So we've really made it our goal to really cut through all that and make animation practical for people. For one, most good animation software is done on your desktop, but we've looked at it and said, well, how do we get this to where people can produce professional animations right on their phones? So that's one of the problems that we've solved, is making it very mobile friendly. We've cut through the education barrier by giving simpler tools. And it's pretty amazing how cumbersome it really is to produce a very short animation clip using the packages that are out there today for desktop. And we've really looked at each of those processes and said, okay, how do we take that process down and turn it into something that takes a fraction of that time? And that's really what we've set out to do, is really simplify the process. Then even if you have all those better tools from your phone, you still don't have the creative side. You still have to produce all the little assets that go into an animation. So that is another barrier, and we've set out to attack that barrier by creating an open marketplace. And this is where our money comes in. We can give it away for free and then allow people to sell content to each other and collect commission off that. So you can produce an animation by leveraging content created by other artists, other animators, and give yourself a real professional look to your animations without spending a whole lot of money and without having to learn how to create all those assets. Myself, I'm on the autism spectrum, and we have a number of employees that are, first of all. And traditionally, we've had a hard time with gainful employment because of being on the spectrum. It usually presents a number of interpersonal challenges that employers have a hard time with, and they will pretty easily reject you based on those interpersonal skills, even if you're very talented. So people on the autism spectrum tend to do very well when they're out of those stressful environments, when they can work from home, when they can really hone their craft and hyper focus, they tend to really excel in those kind of environments. And Dodls really supports that, because what we're talking about is a lot of individual creativity that then is collaborative with feeding off each other. So you can be very good at producing a character, or types of characters, or a background scene, or music. That can be your specialty creativity, and you can really hone that skill apart from having to interact with people face to face. And you can do this by educating yourself online. You can build a mass audience through social media for that, of people getting really excited about that particular niche creativity that you have. And so you can build an audience, you can build not just a successful following, but a successful business off of just that niche creativity. So it really overcomes that barrier of the interpersonal skills and lets people just go to town on their, what they're good at. When I found my wife, I was in a flight from San Diego to Denver, and she was flying out, and she was from Appleton. So we met on a flight, and when we got married, we headed back to Wisconsin, which has kind of always been my dream to come back to my home state. So this is really my people, and I just see myself here, as a native. We moved back here about 14 years ago. And then that's when we started Loan Sifter. We grew that to about 70 employees, exited for $15 million in 2013. So that was all based out of Appleton, and that was a mortgage technology company. And like I said, we transitioned from that to Dodls, and it really wasn't a choice. It was more, I believe you can build a good technology company here as well as you can build it in any other place. In fact, I think we're starting to see some of the disadvantages of tech startups out in California because of the overbearing legislation that's going on there for tech companies. Starting to become, that burden is starting to become too heavy to carry. And also just how interconnected our world is today. You don't have to have as much face-to-face in-person meetings anymore. It's a lot more practical to get on the phone, to get on your Slack channel and just video chat people, or Skype people. That's a much more practical way of doing business today. And so we just don't need as much face-to-face. And so you really want to go where it's affordable to start up your company. As much as anything, and it's affordable here in Wisconsin. You have a pretty good talent base in terms of technical talent, and then that's matched with just the cost of living here is a lot less expensive than other places. So it's not impractical. I think you're seeing that now with a lot of money coming back from the coast and moving inland, and a lot more initiatives because there is talent in the Midwest. I think you need to change the mindset of the people here to actually believe that. But for us, we have creativity, at least as much creativity as they have on the coast, and that's how we see it. There's going to be a lot of talented people on the coast too, but we don't see a shortage of talent from our perspective. The Kaufman report has ranked Wisconsin dead last for 3 years in a row as it relates to getting investment through venture capital. So that speaks to the problem going on here is the mentality of the investor, the Wisconsin investor, is very traditional, and they want to see profits before they want to invest, which oftentimes is too late to really to get involved with a tech startup. And a lot of the technology, like the technology we're producing at Dodls, is very cutting edge stuff. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources to bring that to market and to produce it well. You can't do that with a very small budget. It's just not realistic. And so if you try to say, well, when you're profitable, we'll invest, that really doesn't work for a company like ours. And so that mentality has to change for us to be competitive with the Silicon Valley. You have to be willing to invest based on a team and on an idea, not based on what has already been proven in terms of sales. Original funding of the company was through myself. I put in the first $2 million. So that came from the proceeds of the sale of my last company. As we start to see that that $2 million isn't going to carry us to the finish line. We started to work on our pitch deck. We started to reach out to investors. So as a tech startup, you traditionally are looking at venture capitalists at that point. So we reached out to the venture capital network here in the state, and that's where we came across that very traditional mindset, even with the venture capitalists here. And so that was, that really wasn't going anywhere, especially for the type of valuation we were looking for. Having put in $2 million myself, I'm not going to be looking to give this thing away for nothing. The venture capital mindset also is one where they want to really control the outcome. And so that's another thing you have to watch out for, is who you're taking money from and what their plans are for your company. You may have a vision for your company, but a venture capitalist might have a very different vision that they're going to try to control how that works. And we wanted to maintain a lot of control ongoing for where we're headed with our company, and that really doesn't fit well with the VC mindset. So for our first round, which we did last August, we raised $300,000 from 10 different angel investors. That round was started through, we tried a number of different online resources to get the word out. Some were venture capital based, like AngelList or Gust, Crunchbase. So we got the word out of what we were doing, and through Wisconsin Angel Network, a graduate from Madison, actually working for Facebook, and his wife working for Microsoft. He had done his thesis, I guess, on the subject of social animation in this space. So he was very excited about what we were doing, and he came in with the first $30,000. And then shortly after that, we had 9 more investors lined up, and that completed our first $300,000 round. Then we started another round earlier this year, 2018, and that began with a local businessman who put in $200,000. Mike Sanders, who's now our CFO, he came in with another $100,000, and then just Friday, we had a couple other investors after that with $30,000, $116,000, and then on Friday we just landed 4 more different investment groups. Again, small angel investors to wrap up this round of 600. I think we're about 18 employees at this point.
So super interesting story. Craig has a long history in the tech world, obviously, starting in the .com bubble. We were super grateful to cover this story. We felt it hasn't really been covered this in depth. For Venture Wisconsin, this is also a dive into long-form content, and we wanted to make stuff that appeals to everybody, not just people in Wisconsin, but we just want it to be based around Wisconsin. If you made it this far, thank you so much, seriously. We're really trying to do this right. We're putting out cool stuff. Please like the video if you made it this far. I'm Evan Frymuth, Venture Wisconsin. We're here to bring you things to do across Wisconsin. Right now, we're in Northeast. Give us a year or two. We'll be everywhere. Thank you. Have a great day.